CM Punk and Seth Rollins, the dream feud that we all thought we were going to get at WrestleMania 40. Once Punk got injured, it didn't end up happening, but that doesn't mean WWE scrapped the idea entirely, because like Shawn and Brett or Rock and Austin, Punk and Seth are made for each other. And not only do I think this match is still going to happen, I think WWE is already planting the seeds for what is sure to be a WrestleMania dream match. But how do we get there? Let's fantasy book. I'm Brandon and welcome to Wrestling Talk. So where's the Punk versus Seth story at right now? Well, it all started at Survivor Series 2023, where CM Punk made an iconic, surprising return to WWE, and Seth Rollins was not having it. After that, the two of them had a killer promo battle, where Seth laid out his issues with Punk, and Punk said, "Screw you, I'm gonna win the Rumble and challenge you at WrestleMania." Unfortunately, he got injured during the Rumble, keeping him out of action till SummerSlam. And during that time at WrestleMania, Seth Rollins lost the World Heavyweight title to Drew McIntyre, who has gone on to have an iconic feud with CM Punk. Seriously, it's the best thing on TV right now. Drew and Punk had their first match at SummerSlam, where Seth Rollins was the special guest referee, and even in that match, they started planting the seeds for Punk versus Seth. It may not always be about me, but it's never about you. Killer line from Punk. Because of that line, among other things, Punk lost the match, and afterwards, Seth Rollins was written off of WWE television due to a kayfabe injury from Bronson Reed. Drew and Punk had their second match at Bash in Berlin, in which Punk won, and as of now, Seth Rollins is still off of WWE television. And that is where we begin our fantasy booking. So obviously the feud between Drew and Punk is not over. This is a trilogy feud, and the final match will happen at Bad Blood in Hell in a Cell. And really, whoever wins this match wins the feud, which is why I think CM Punk will win the match and finally end his feud with Drew McIntyre. Maybe the two will run into each other down the line in, let's say, a triple threat or the Royal Rumble, but in terms of the one-on-one feud and singles matches, they'll be done after Bad Blood. And just like CM Punk has been telegraphing after he beats Drew McIntyre, he's going after the World Heavyweight title currently held by Gunther. Reports are going around saying that Punk versus Gunther is being discussed for Survivor Series, so let's go with that. Punk will not be wrestling at Crown Jewel or really any Saudi show because tweets, which gives him the entire time between Bad Blood and Survivor Series to build a program between him and Gunther. But once we get to Survivor Series, Punk is not going to win the match. Why? Because it's Gunther. However, this is not just going to be a clean 1-2-3 pin and we're done. Well, kinda. Because just when things are looking up for Punk, whose music do we hear? Burn It Down. That's right, 1 year after CM Punk returns at Survivor Series and pisses off Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins returns at Survivor Series and pisses off CM Punk. He doesn't even need to interfere in the match, just his presence alone will distract Punk enough for Gunther to capitalize on it and beat him. And now, not only does Survivor Series mirror last year, but we have officially kickstarted a feud that will go from Survivor Series all the way to WrestleMania. In the weeks leading up to the Rumble, Punk and Seth will engage in a bunch of promos where each of them vow to enter the Royal Rumble and go after Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. Punk wants his rematch, and Seth wants another shot to win back his title. During the Rumble, it doesn't really matter who enters where, because both guys will have a strong showing. Seth will get revenge on Bronson Reed for putting him on the shelf for a few months by eliminating him. Punk will have an in-ring reunion with John Cena, who will be in his last ever Royal Rumble. But throughout the whole portion of the match where both guys are in the ring, it is clear that they are gunning for each other. And in the end, even though both of them will make it to the final 5 or 6 competitors, they will both cancel each other out and neither of them will win. Whether it be Seth eliminating Punk or Punk eliminating Seth, the outcome of the Rumble will basically confirm that this is the WrestleMania match. To me, it's more compelling if CM Punk eliminates Seth Rollins and then Drew McIntyre eliminates CM Punk, as a little callback to their feud. And from there, the story basically writes itself. Punk and Seth can engage in a bunch of promo battles, but that's the kind of stuff we've already seen. A feud like this, if done right, could be generational, so we need to pull out all the stops. I'm talking home invasions, post-match beatdowns, stuff that really has an edge to it now that we're on Netflix. And to me, this feud would work best if both guys are tweeners. Both Punk and Seth have that tweener energy. They're not entirely virtuous babyfaces, but they're also not entirely snarky heels. And I think with a feud like this, it doesn't necessarily need to be good guy versus bad guy, which is kind of what Drew versus Punk turned into. It just needs to be two guys that do not like each other. However, I won't complain if Punk turns into the heel and Rollins turns into the babyface. But given how popular Seth Rollins was coming off of WrestleMania 40, and given how popular Punk is now, I think keeping it a tweener versus tweener feud is probably the way to go. Makes it more unpredictable. But that's how we get to WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, where it will be CM Punk versus Seth Rollins in what is sure to be the pettiest of grudge matches. Would I love for this match to be for the World Heavyweight title? Absolutely. I think it gives the feud way more stakes and really helps elevate the World Heavyweight title itself, putting it in a program with these two future Hall of Famers. But to be honest, I think that ship has sailed. If it was gonna happen for the title, it would have been at WrestleMania 40, but now Gunther has it and I don't see him losing it anytime soon. So because of that, I think it's just gonna be a straight up grudge match. And as far as who wins, I think it actually has to be Seth. But that doesn't mean it's going to be the end of the feud, because like Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, I think this will end up being a trilogy. Although unlike McIntyre versus Punk, I think they'll spread the matches out a lot more, as opposed to doing them across 3 consecutive PLEs. But there it is, that's how I'd fantasy book CM Punk versus Seth Rollins from now to WrestleMania 41. Let me know what you think of my fantasy booking down in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.